What are the current music trends that you're following, and how do they influence your creativity?
Shoot, man.
I know Jacquees is a favorite.
I say shoot because I'm not really a trend follower at all. Like anybody that knows me knows that. Like I'm kind of anti-trend because I feel like if everybody is doing it, then it's not the thing that I should be doing. But there is a freedom in music, and I think because the gates are wide open, because the genres don't matter no more, and major labels don't matter as much no more. Sorry, Phil. But because of that, there is a freedom to really express yourself, and I see that a lot in younger hip hop. Even though I don't really listen to it, I see the freedom a lot, and that freedom I try to hold on to that part of music because that's where the magic is. It's in the freedom, like it's in the unknown. It's not in what you know. It's not in the trend. It's not in the formula. It's in the unknown, and so I think people are doing a good job of that right now.
So, although you don't follow necessarily a music trend, is there, does the Nashville music scene influence the type of music you write or produce? Like, does Nashville have an influence on that?
Ooh. I want to be honest, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nashville was good for me creatively because it settled me. And me being settled is a more focused Chuck. You know what I'm saying? Like I can really understand what, for lack of a better word, what the grown-up Chuck should be doing because I'm in Nashville and in LA. I probably have on the LA Dodgers hat to the side and still driving with a book bag full of beats, you know what I'm saying? And so that trend of, not trend, but that culture of Nashville where it's cool to be a grown person doing music, that really has influenced the way that I work on music.
That's important what he said, man, about being able to be grown and do music. It doesn't have to be, it's funny because a lot of times you feel like, and you see people, I remember turning the corner where I said, you know what, I'd rather be a young, old man than an old, young man. You know what I'm saying? And it's real. I think a lot of times people refuse to grow up or they're holding on to something because they think that this music thing only exists as part of the childhood. Right. It's part of like a Peter Pan sort of experience, but that's not the case. Like as you grow, the music evolves and grows too.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Real quick, and just to speak to what you said, were you asking everybody a question about the Nashville thing?
Go for it.
I just wanted to say that there is a thing that exists here, like songwriting culture here is not, like none other. So if anything, I know for me, it's there's a certain aesthetic, there's a certain level that is done at. Whether you like country music, here's the deal: you may not like country production. A lot of what you hear, the twangy, the like that country production, you may not like. Country songs out the chain though. A lot of times, if you really break it down to a pure songwriting level, boys write some really, really strong songs. Like there's a very high level of songwriting going on. So that's the thing that I think translates about the city. There's a very high level of not just creativity, but skill that is applied to music and the music business in the city.
Great. Claude, everyone wants to be different, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
So how do you set yourself apart from others in this music industry?
Good question. That's the hardest thing to do in the music industry. It's weird because the music industry claims they're looking for unique stars. That's what they say. That's what they say. But when you get heard, what we get told in meetings is to be like everybody else. Because really what happens is one person is genius enough to come up with something bold and different, and then most people just follow that pattern until it runs out and stops working, and they look for someone else that created something interesting. So I was very adamant early on to trust my gut, and my gut was always telling me that you're bigger than any box they'll put you in. So it's gotten a lot better now because of technology, but a lot of it was, oh, you're a black kid from New York, so you better be doing R&B records. That's all you should be doing. And then if you do that well, we'll talk about your little dreams about doing other things. But let me see what you can do. I got told everything from you're not urban enough to you're not hood enough to maybe you should pierce your ears again, or maybe you should maybe your pants should be baggier, and then we'll listen. Like all that stuff fell under the reasons why people wouldn't listen to my music. So after a couple of years of that kind of opposition, I was like, okay, I like that kind of a challenge. So I decided I'd be literally a phantom writer in New York that you just hear records that be pop, country, rock, and you would not know where they came from. I wanted to be that guy, like, this guy Claude is moving around. I don't know what he is or where he's from, but he's doing everything. That's how I built my name, was being flexible in all genres for all kinds of artists. So as soon as you pegged me for, we did Bittersweet for Fantasia. As soon as we did that record, they're like, oh, he's an R&B guy, cool. We can call him for R&B records. I'd double back with a Britney Spears record. And then I'd come to Nashville and write with Carrie Underwood. And then I'd flip back over and do a record for someone totally different. So being unique has been my career. Standing out and defying the box and the odds has been really what I've always been about, because I've never been a part of a clique or a group where, like, just being a part of Rock Nation gets you some status, or being signed to a label gets you status. I've always been rogue in that way. And even though everyone thought I was bugging for doing that, it's always been my superpower. Because you can't really hold me down, and you can't tell me what I can't do. And because now I believe it, I'm even more dangerous.
That's good.
That's it. That's right.
So being yourself, to me, is the only way that this works. Because the artists that we actually love, every single one of them, like, I asked every single person in this room who your favorite artist is. The reason you like them is because they're doing something unique, not because they're doing everything else, and so it feels like part of your day. You usually listen to music because it's otherworldly to your day. So it's important that you're always digging into what makes you you. When I get confused, I stop looking outward and start looking inward. It's all about me trying to find what makes me totally quirky and unique, which is why the company's called Weirdo Workshop. Our company's called Weirdo Workshop because when we started working together about 10 years ago, we leaned into the fact that no one was like us, and that should be a good thing, not the bad thing. And so if no one else gets that, we'll lean on each other and get it together. And the whole idea is that you accept that you're weird, which is a good thing, and that no one's like you, your gift is needed, and that you work on that every day. That's the workshop part, that you work on your unique talent every day. So my whole life is built off the fact that being an individual as a creative is the only way to really be a creative. So
That's true.
Shannon,
sir.
how do you set yourself apart?
You know, a lot of it is what Claude just said. It's just authenticity. You know, you know, it's funny. Like, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna put a sweater on, just so you probably won't be scared, because you see me in the natural, it's a whole different thing. Authenticity is very important to me. You know, it's like what he said about the box. It's just very important to be me all the time. The way I talk to you right now is the way I talk to everybody all the time. So I don't have a different voice. I don't have to switch up. I don't have it. So it's very important to me to be authentic all the time. And it's funny because I feel like if I don't exercise the muscle of authenticity, that it'll weaken not only in my creativity but just in who I am. You know, and I don't want to be a watered down version, excuse me, of anything. You know, not of as a representation of myself or my creativity or as a black man. A lot of situations, and see, you know what? So, and it goes to what they read about me in the intro. You know, I do participate in a lot of these things because, you know, I did grow up here, and honestly, there weren't many, if any, black people doing what I'm doing in the city, especially not at the time. Like, I mean, I'm glad these brothers are here, but it's only been a few years that they've been a part of the community. So for a long time, it just wasn't a whole lot going on. So in a lot of ways, I felt like I had to, and not only do it, but do it and represent an authentic voice. So I'm not going to these situations to, for lack of better terms, whitewash the situation or to make it more comfortable. You asked me to come to this meeting or to be a part of this organization or to serve on this committee or you invited me because you know that I will be a voice of authenticity. I'm not gonna switch up. I'm gonna be a real representative of what the thing is. So that's the thing. There's a book called 48 Laws of Power. One of those laws is speak truth to power. So whenever you're in a situation where you're with somebody that's powerful enough to make a decision, to make a change, then you should speak truth to power. It says that he wrote a 40-page paper to the president of the university about changing the format of a radio station. That man had the power to change it. He was bold enough, brave enough to speak truth to power. So that's what it is, man. That's my whole thing, is just being authentic at all times.
All right, next question for each one of you. What's the best part of what you do in this amazing industry? Like, if you had to say, what is that number one, the best thing that you do? What's the best part? What's the best part of what you do? What's the highlight?
I would say that. I would say authenticity, but you know what the greatest part is? What I love is that it gives me an opportunity to do this. Swear, there aren't many things that I love more than being able to come and speak to a group like this. Because I feel like, I got 3 kids. You know, my oldest son is 27. He graduated from Morehouse almost 3 years ago, and he works at Oracle down in Austin, Texas. My daughter came out of Tufts University about a year ago. My youngest one is a sophomore in high school now. So I feel like I'm talking to my own kids when I sit and talk to you guys, because I get it. You know, I got kids your age and 10 years older than me, and in between. So I super duper get it. So I would say that this is, for everything that is the best part, you know, everything that happens outside that allows me to be able to come and sit here and talk to you guys, this is the best part, honestly, to make a difference.
Very similar. The best part for me is connecting with people. And I haven't found a better way in this life that connects people better than music.
Yeah.
It's like you said earlier, I understood it before I understood English.
Yeah.
And I understood people who understood it before we could speak to each other. And people who didn't look like me, or from different countries or different races or different ethnicities, or all the boxes that we call different. There's that one thing that unifies us is music, and I feel like I've been given the gift to create that conversation. So when I was younger, I felt like just making a dope record was like the best thing ever. I'm like, man, I killed that. And I should just pat myself on the back and expected everyone else to do the same. And I understood that the music is actually the icing on the cake. The actual cake is the human connection with people. Is being able to say, like, do you feel what I'm saying to you? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And the older I get, the more I understand that the music or the creativity that you leave is not just the communication now as I look and talk to you guys right now, but that's actually the history you're leaving behind. That's how you know what was going on. That's how you know what was really going on. Because in the music is tucked, all the truth is tucked into it. So I get a lot of pleasure and honor, honestly, from the fact that I have the ability to be a storyteller, which is also kind of a historian and a scientist and a psychologist and a best friend and the person who might debate sometimes. But the conversation is so much bigger than just the melody and the lyrics. It becomes a connection that we have where we can talk about what we're really feeling and what we really understand or what we even don't agree about. So I'm grateful just to be able to meet the world, which is really, I think, what my dream was for my gift to take me to the world, and music takes me to the world immediately. I wouldn't even be here talking to you guys if it weren't for the fact that music connected us. So I'm just grateful for that gift, honestly. That's what brings me the most joy.
Wow.
What brings me the most joy? I totally agree with both of you guys, but what brings me the most joy is self-expression. You know, I'm a quiet kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get a lot of times to say how I really feel, and a lot of times I don't want to say how I really feel. I just want to be me. But music gives me the opportunity to really speak to people in the most authentic way that I can. You know, because even sometimes words you can polish them up to make yourself sound a certain way or make people feel a certain way. But music is the most authentic way that I can express myself to people. So every day I'm thankful to God that I get to fully express myself through music.
Wow. So honest. I love working with amazing artists and making money. So that's my. Anybody wonder? So nice though.
That works too.
Shannon, this one's for you. What has been the biggest challenge you faced, and how did you overcome it?
You know, I tell folks that, you know, the thing that is the blessing now for a long time was the curse, which is being here and being determined to stay here. But for a long time, you know, before I felt like I was a product of Music City, I felt like I was a victim of it for a long time, you know, because like I said earlier, you know, you really couldn't get anything off. You know, that country microphone was turned up so loud, like you really couldn't hear anything else. So the beauty of technology and the beauty of the times is that, you know, other things are able to be heard from here. But that was probably, early on, that was probably my greatest challenge, man, was, you know, how to maneuver, how to define myself, or how to, you know, how to stay here, because I felt like it was the best place. I mean, I started a family really young. I mean, you know, I told you my oldest son was 27. I mean, I was, you know, young when he came. So, you know, family was starting, just got married, man. It was just important. This is what I wanted to do, home and do family, but at the same time, it was a very difficult place to try to do the music business, especially to do black music at the time. So early on, that was the greatest challenge. So I'm glad that I stayed and was able to overcome that.
That's what's up. So Chuck and Claude, how did you cultivate your fan base for LouisYork? Like what was that process like?
It's a living, breathing thing that happens every day. We are and were looking for our tribe. Chuck and I had a conversation 4 years ago that jump-started this whole thing. We were both in a studio in New York, and I was gonna quit music, and he was gonna quit music.
Again.
Again. He's gonna quit again. Quit it, man. God, you gotta work on that. You gotta work on that. Not because things were going poorly, things were going great for both of us. We were in a fancy studio in Times Square, but literally we felt like we weren't being heard and understood. And so I think when hearing him say he was gonna quit, and I think, and vice versa, we realized that there needed to be something more, much, 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 much more. So from that point on, we would set out to find people that love music like we do. Not that think like us, because you can't learn being around people that all say the same thing you say.
Right.
But being around people that had a thirst for knowledge and thirst to grow and a thirst to be them or their authentic selves. And so that's really the core of our message, whether we're talking, performing, singing, posting online, on social media, is to try and find people that, first of all, are learning to love themselves. That's my daily process, is to accept myself more every day, and have a thirst for knowledge and want to get better, and also want to share that knowledge with people. And that is centered around songs for us sometimes, art sometimes. But I wouldn't call it begging, but we're literally arms wide open, like, yo, if you love music like we love music, if you believe that there's not one way to be a black man in the world, if you believe that anything is possible, if you believe that hard work pays off, all that stuff, and come hang with us. We're talking about that stuff and we're learning together. And that's really, really what every day is about. Every single song, and whether it's a funny one or a slow one or up-tempo or a ballad, is trying to hook people to be like, you're paying attention, we feel the same thing? Come along, let's talk, let's share this, and let's learn, let's grow together. So we're online all the time. We do shows all over the country as LouisYork, our band, and our company's called Weirdo Workshop. We have a book club that we started that happens here and is now in Atlanta, New York, LA, where we literally send books to people. And it's not a class, it's just a reason to get together and hang out and talk about life, with the book being a catalyst. Because we just want to be around people that are thinking, critically thinking, and expressing themselves every day. So yeah, everything that we do, every song, everything that we offer is about trying to find our tribe.
So, and what are y'all listening to? What's on your playlist these days?
Jesus. Besides LouisYork, you know, and Shannon Sanders Fight On, congratulations on that single, that's awesome.
Appreciate that.
I've been listening to Curtis Mayfield a lot.
Y'all know Curtis Mayfield?
Y'all probably don't know.
I know Curtis Mayfield. Y'all know Curtis Mayfield. They like, what? No.
Everything you know after
what
is sampled by
what it is
Curtis
that I'm musically satisfied. You know what I'm saying? With Spotify, with Apple, and all this stuff, you can find any kind of music that you want to find, and you can digest it however however long and however much you want to digest it. So I'm looking for something more than just music. I'm looking for message.
Yeah.
And Curtis was able to do it at the highest level, putting message inside of pop music, inside of meaningful music, inside of trendy music, inside of music that made you groove. You know what I'm saying? And part of where I want to go with We're the Workshop, and what we were always thinking when we started that was that it has to be more than just music. It has to be something more, because that's what I was looking. That's why we were quitting, because like he said, it's not for lack of success. It was because life has to mean more. It has to mean more than a paycheck. It has to mean more than accolades. It has to mean more than awards. Once you get those things, then you start searching for things that really matter. And so Curtis has been on my playlist heavy.
Curtis and Jacquees.
Not so much
of R&B.
Jacquees. I can't say Jacquees.
King of R&B, man.
Claude, who you listen to?
My go-to is always Bob Marley. I'm a Jamaican, so Bob Marley is never wrong, and it's to your point about literally being message and universal at the same time. But man, we're studiers of music. I think everyone up here will tell you that the way to get great is to do your homework, or just study all the time. So what I've learned to do is accept that you don't have to ever necessarily love, like lose your mind, love everything to understand its power or why you love it. So besides my personal favorites, I love Coldplay, I love Sade, I love Bob Marley, I love Biggie, who you worked with, which I'm jealous about. We listen to collectively listen to everything like today's Friday. We'll leave here and we'll go listen to the New Friday playlist. The whole thing. Because I want to know how people are connecting with people. And how long is it? What's the rhythm? What's working? What's making people really move? So I'm a fan of the New Music Friday every Friday. And some of it I hate, and some of it I learn to love. I learn why it's loved. But right now I'm in a place where I don't want to say I'm bored with what I listened to before, but I've studied it so hard that like I can recite you back Bob Marley. And so now I'm trying to find out where we're going next, and that requires me to listen to what's happening right now and then judge the next steps forward. So a lot of new stuff that I can't even say the name of, but what's happening every release I'm studying.
Shannon, real quick, we got four questions.
Well, it's crazy because, like you said earlier, it's a program radio station, 102.1, which is classic soul and R&B, but also local. But it's crazy because doing that makes me listen to so much classic soul, classic R&B, that it's really been like a college education, straight up, in soul music and in black music. So I listen to a lot of classic music for that reason. But then at the same time, my son is 16, and so, when we get in the car, it's not about what I want to hear. I'm really interested in what he's listening to. For two reasons. I just want to know, just because I realize that young people are really influenced by what they listen to. So I just want to listen to what he's listening to, so I can try to offset some of that, let him know what's real and what's not real there. And at the same time, honestly, a lot of it is just good. Like you said earlier, I'm just really into how, the re-emergence of R&B right now. I think R&B is doing something really interesting right now. It's going to be interesting to see, which we saw at the Grammys this year. And then hip-hop, it's just interesting to see where people are taking it. So really everything new. And I'm like you, but I'm weird too. I like commercials a lot. I'm really into the psychology of music. Like, I'll be somewhere and a commercial will be on, and I'll stop everything and Shazam it to see what song that is on a particular commercial. Then I go into why did they use that? What key is it? What's the tempo? What's the psychology? Lyrically what's happening, like what's the tempo, everything about that. Why did they choose that? So everything.
All right, let's open up the floor to questions. Any questions?
This is you, Phil. You got to delegate this.
Don't forget to use your mics, y'all. Okay?
Yeah, got mics? In the back.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm with the Nashville chapter. I strive and I aspire to be a music producer or an artist, probably both in the future, but how does oneself keep consistently writing songs and making music as a passion and lesser of a job? So you want to do it more than you have to do it.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
So you're asking, how do you do it? How do you keep the passion for it so it doesn't feel like a job? There's a part of the music. There's the music, and there's the music business, and they're two totally different things. And it's important that if you have a desire to be a professional musician, you always understand that. Because if you're only throwing your heart in the music business, you'll be heartbroken. Because a lot of the times you're pitching your art to people who are designed to reject it. So that will send you to the hills if you're living your life for the business's approval. I think that's applicable with every business, really. If you're trying to climb the ladder, there's plenty of no's you have to go through before you get a few yeses. So it's important that outside of your plan for yourself as a successful producer and artist, which can totally happen, that you're also making an equally thorough plan for how you're going to protect your love for the art of it. They're two totally separate things. You have to decide that even if you never become rich and famous, or the number that's in your head, that you're still all good with what you're creating and producing. And it's not easy to do. But if you don't separate them early, what happens is that you tie your gift into what everyone's telling you you are. And when that happens, when they tell you no, you'll think you're not worth it. And you'll stop anyway. But you have to trust that when they tell you you're not worth it, it has nothing to do with you and what you're supposed to be doing with your gift. So it's literally like splitting it and creating two worlds. Dividing your passion between how you're gonna get your gift to be profitable for you, but also how are you gonna just nurture your gift. I spend probably more time nurturing my gift than I do thinking about the business. I'm not saying that's the right way, there's no right way, but I am protective like hell about anybody getting into my headspace about how I feel about myself, how I feel about what I like, my taste, because that's God-given, and how I cultivate my personal style as a creator, and that's the same thing that you should be doing. You should, number one, know that you're awesome, because I'm betting that you are. If you know at this point that's what you want to do, you have a good sense of who you are. The only thing that will get you in the way now is if you start believing what everyone else says you are. So make sure that you're taking care of you as a creator first, and then worry about how to make the business of that work.
And look, just to add on what he's saying, you've all heard the concept of selling your soul. You've heard this whole, what that is. Somebody sold their soul. Listen, understand what your soul is in this context. Your soul is just the essence of who you are, what you are. It's your value system more than anything in this situation. So anything that would require you to compromise who you are, if anybody's asking you to do or be something other than who you truly are, that's the thing that's going to make you hate it. That's the thing that's going to make you not love it, because you know that you traded the essence of yourself for an opportunity. Nothing is worth that. So what he said about protecting, that's the key word right there. You protect it so tough. Like that, your love for it, your reason, your purpose, you put that in the vault. Nobody has the code to that but you. Right. And so every day, and it's funny because the same thing I do to work is the same thing I do to relax. Man, I'll be in the studio all day. I'll be there 12 hours and go home. I got to fiddle rose in the den, man. I sit there and play that rose 30, 45 minutes to relax. The same thing I've been doing all day, because it doesn't come with the strings of expectation or a deadline. But it's just because at that point, when I get home, I can shut the world off, and then I can pull my love for it out of the vault and just do it because I love to do it.
Any more questions? Oh.
Boom.
Here.
How you doing? My name is Rushman Willett, and I represent the Chicago chapter.
Shot
I have a
time.
question specifically for Mr. Thornton. So like me being from Chicago, being a strong Chance the Rapper supporter, and you work for RCA as a VP, what's your opinion of Chance the Rapper and like him being anti-label?
I love Chance the Rapper. Let me start there. I had the pleasure of working with Chance at the Grammys 2 years ago. We had Kirk Franklin perform with him. I support the independent movement. I work for a record label, but I also understand the evolution of the music industry. It is going to become increasingly challenging for labels to remain relevant because you can upload to SoundCloud and go directly to Spotify and Apple and YouTube. But there are some services that labels can offer, additional radio support or getting your music in TV and film. So there is some value. but at what cost? So I love the independent movement. I support Chance. There's other rappers like him. There's this guy out of Memphis with Chopper, NLE Chopper, who's got some great momentum right now. He's about to partner with the label, but I'm sure it'll be a different type of deal, similar to that of Cash Money. Years before that, No Limit. But yeah, I support the independent movement. It's only going to continue because record labels will continue to always be around, but it's got to make sense.